Hey guys, we are presenting on a poet from the USA. My group members are Judith Lopez, Camille Salazar, Belinda Rodriguez, Cordell Swift, and myself, Christian Torres. The poet we chose is none other than Edward Eslin Cummings, also known as E. E. Cummings. We chose to do the poem entitled I Carry Your Heart. As you will later learn in this video, E. E. Cummings uses a nonconformist style which he became known for poems that played wildly with form and spacing, punctuation, capitalization, overall grammar, and pacing, perhaps serving as a structural metaphor for the writer's belief that much of modern society kill individual creativity and freedom. Nonetheless, he was also able to write traditionally styled verses such as sonnets with a flair for wit and whimsy. Cummings' work was also known for its focus on nature, sexuality, and love, in both a sensual and spiritual sense. If by this time you're like me and wondering what it would be like to watch this video in a newscast setting, then I have just the thing for you. Check this out.
Get out of my way.
Ready? Yeah. Let's go.
Good morning. We're here live from News 4 doing a segment on poetry featuring E. E. Cummings. I'm Shanae, looking for my baby's daddy, Harris.
I'm Tyrone, I ain't your baby daddy Davis. Back to you, Shanae.
Today we'll be doing a segment on poems. The poem we'll be doing today is I Carry Your Heart by Edward Cummings, which is being used in an upcoming movie, A Page About You. But first, here's Camille with a biography of Edward Cummings.
Good morning, my name is Camille Salazar and I will be doing the biography of Edward Eslin Cummings, better known as E. E. Cummings. To begin with, I will start off with his personal life. Cummings was born on October 14, 1894 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. By 1916, he earned a bachelor's and master's degree while he was studying at Harvard University. While he was there, he had some of his poems published in their monthly newspaper called Harvard Monthly. Cummings was married twice. His first marriage started off as a love affair with Ellen Orr, since she was still married to one of Cummings' friends. But they divorced and Ellen and Cummings got married. During this time, he wrote a great deal of erotic poetry. This marriage produced a daughter named Nancy. Nancy was Cummings' only child. Elaine and Cummings separated 2 months after they got married, and they divorced within 9 months later. His second marriage was on May 1st, 1929, which was with Anne Barton, but they separated 3 years later. The same year of his divorce, he met Marianne Morehouse, a fashion model and photographer. It is not clear if the two were ever formally married, but they did live together in common law marriage until the time of his death in 1962. E. E. Cummings lived through a period when modernism became the dominant force in English poetry. Modernism introduced new styles, new topics, and often a new sensibility. He was aware of the dominance of modernism, but he lived a very conventional life and in general had a broadly conservative look on most things. To speak of his early career, we can say he started writing at Harvard. He got some poems published in Harvard Monthly. In 1917, he listed as an ambulance driver in France. 5 months into it, though, he and a friend were both arrested on the pretext of espionage. He went back to the US and enrolled in the army in 1918. He returned to Paris in 1921, and then he went to New York 2 years later. The Enormous Room was his first book that was published in 1922, and he mentioned his 3-month imprisonment in it. In the 1920s and the 1930s, he made journeys to Paris and the rest of Europe. He worked as an essayist and portrait designer for Vanity Fair magazine from 1924 to 1927. His later works were after World War II. There, he found different ideas about poetry, which showed through his works that started gaining recognition. In 1950, he was awarded by the Academy of American Poets. He was also honored by the Harvard University, so they requested him to deliver the Charles Eliot Norton Lectures during 1952 to 1953. Those lectures were later published in 1953. People who had earlier criticized him about his work started praising him for his poems 1923 to 24, which was published in 1954. This was followed by 95 poems in 1958 and collected poems in 1960 and 73 poems in 1963. Most of the themes that Cummings wrote about had to do about love, family, and wisdom, even though he lived in a world where all those things had gone out of fashion. That about sums up E. Cummings' personal life, his early career, and his work. It about sums up his biography. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Camille, for that lovely biography of Edward Cummings. Now we have Tyrone with a summary of the poem, I Carry Your Heart.
Thank you, Shanene. The poem, I Carry Your Heart by Edward Cummings, is about love that can be acceptable in many forms. In the poem, he uses parentheses to write a poem within a poem, while emphasizing his theme of endless love. He uses typography to add rhythm to his poem, and uses figurative language to describe this endless love. It describes what true devotion is all about, and for true love to be real, it must be selfless. The poem carries a sonnet-like tone, although differentiating in the number of lines, rhythm, and rhyme style, but relating in theme and tone. Like a sonnet, the final 2 lines rhyme. The poet also uses imagery to show his love. Quote, "You are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you," end quote. And now back to you, Shanene.
And now here's a trailer from the movie, A Page About You.
Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, baby, don't stop beating. Like a drum, my heart never stops beating for you. For you. Baby, I'm not moving on. I'll love you long after you're gone. For you. For you. You will never sleep alone. I'll love you long.
Yeah, you always make me go. City that
I Carry Your Heart With Me by Edward Estlin Cummings. I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I'm never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart.
I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it is you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope, or the mind can hide. And this is the wonder that keeps the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. And now, here's a poem analysis to be done by Judith Lopez.
Hey guys, so I will be doing an analysis on the poem I Carry Your Heart by Edward Cummings. In stanza 1, the poet talks about carrying his lover's heart with him wherever he goes. This, of course, is figuratively speaking, as he cannot actually carry her heart. He says that he never goes without his lover's heart. And the last two lines suggest that the action that he does, he thinks of her and her love, helps him to make choices. They are united as one. He references his lover, my dear, my darling, showing how compassionate he is. The stanza has no rhyme scheme, and he evidently uses lowercase to write his poem. This lowercase has significance because Cummings wanted to break away from traditional writing. He also uses parenthetical clauses in his poem. I believe that he used the parentheses to try to connect the poem, showing unity of their love within his poem. So even though he uses parentheses to separate the idea, one thing brings them together, and that is their love. Cummings also uses parallelism in the example line 3, I go, you go. In line 3 to 4, the poet uses words such as whatever and anywhere, which we can interpret that it does not matter to him where he is or what he does. The important thing is that their love is united, and that is more important to him than anything else. In line 4, he somewhat uses a paradox because nothing can be done by him, as he states that it also would involve his lover. Notice how his words are squished together, showing again their unity. In stanza 2, Cummings begins, I fear, way at the end. With this, we can interpret that again he is trying to break away from the modern writing, but also he presents this I fear without any parentheses, and so it could mean without the presence of his love. So this fear is an individual feeling. It does not involve his love. In line 6, he begins to add more details to add to this fear. He uses, however, an enjambment, and so you would have to continue reading in order to fully clarify what the speaker is trying to say. In line 6, you can understand that the fear goes away with his love, that is near. It is clear how Cummings plays with his words, and as he admits, I fare, but then, as you go on to read, he does not fare. In line 7, Cummings separates the I want, just like he did in line 5. This line 7 also suggests the individuality feeling he has. But then as you go on to read, he wants no world that does not include her. His parenthesis adds the meaning of unity, the unity of his love. You can also notice how outside of the parenthesis, Cummings talks about a plain world, and then in the parenthesis he goes on to specify a world for beautiful, you are my world, my true. Here you can notice that there are different tones in the poem, one outside of the parenthesis and one inside. In line 8, Cummings says whatever to refer to the meaning of moon. He goes on to say that real meaning is her. In line 9, he uses a personification as he gives the sun a human action. He says that if the sun did sing, it would be about her. The use of and whatever to somewhat maintain a rhythm. In stanza 3, this stanza, Cummings uses the repetition of here is. Here can refer to the love of the speaker, which is what all things revolve around. The secret that nobody knows could refer to love, as love is something hard to attain and cannot be easily understood. The words roots and buds are symbol in this poem. They both are the beginning of life, and so the poet begins to talk about this new life. These are the foundations of life, and so this can be linked to love, which is also a foundation of life. The poet moves from life on the ground to life in the sky. The poet seems to be linking all these things together into one, the tree called life. The writer clearly uses imagery in these lines, referring to things of nature. In line 13, this tree that he is referring to grows extremely high. Of course, this is figuratively because he uses the word higher than soul can hope or man can hide. In line 14, and this is the wonder that keeps the stars apart, is referring to love. Love is something that cannot be defined. It just is. Its wonders sustains everything else. Love is what makes things what they are in essence. In the last line, the poem repeats the statement, I carry your heart, I carry it in my heart. However, he omits the with me. This just shows how united the love is.